Okay, good day, YSN Lagos. My name is Surveyor Rauf. I'm the editorial chairman for the YSN Lagos magazine and YSN Lagos at large. And with me here today is a very prominent surveyor and a lawyer, a barrister at that, in person of Surveyor Barrister Odunaiya, and we are here to interview him for YSN Lagos. So I hope we are all going to listen attentively to what he has to say to us, what he has for us, so that we can all benefit from his years and some of the experiences in both the field of surveying and the law. Yeah, so yeah, welcome very much, sir. Thank you for having us this morning, and I would like to appreciate that your presence. You know, it's not easy getting a lawyer to leave everything and come down here for an interview. So, sir, please, can we meet you? That's the Surveyor Barrister Odunaiya. A lot of people don't know, so we'd like to meet you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone. My name is Odunaiya Adedayo Kazeem, and I happen to be, by God's grace, a barrister and a lawyer, but a surveyor before being barrister, actually. And to meet me, anyway, I think that is simple. I am born, bred, groomed, you know, in Lagos.
Right.
Original pure Lagosian. My father's from Ibeju-Lekki, side of Lagos. My mother is from Ekpe, side of Lagos. So I am a pure breed of Lagos. And not just pure breed. I belong to the royal family of Ibeju of Ibeju, the Ikeolu Dynasty. And that's me.
We can call you a prince then.
Yes, I'm actually.
So that should be part of our name. We'll just say Prince of your barrister.
How many prefixes, you know? So we have to just stick to so many prefixes. So let us stick to just some your barrister. It's okay.
So thank you very much for giving us the short background about yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, so with the plethora of professional engagements seeking your attention, you know, so how do you manage the process of staying relevant in this profession of surveying and also as a lawyer?
I must say it's a difficult one, but it all has to do with time management. And another thing about it is consistency in participation. And let me say more so, number 3 should be impactful or meaningful contribution to knowledge within the two fields, an ability to harness the wealth of experiences from both sides and be able to deliver solutions. Now, when I say time management, I think I've been doing that for a very long time, even right from my undergraduate, while I was in the University of Lagos. While I was in the University of Lagos as a student, in my 400, 500 level, I happen to be handling both academic and political lifestyle. I happen to be the past president of National Union of Lagos State Students, and as well as, that's the Lagos chapter, and as well as National Association of Ibeju-Lekki Student President at that time. So I started learning how to manage my time at a very, very tender age, and that has worked for me very well. Because in short, being handling both surveying and law together happens to be something that I was only possible by grace, and I was only possible to achieve that because of time management skills, which I've developed over the years. Because at the particular point in time while I was rounding off my master's degree, as well as I was commencing my law course. so there was a clash at the point in time. I just then reading on both sides and trying to make sure that the two does not there's no chaos eventually. But thank God, everything works fine. But basically, time management, consistency in participation is very key. Staying relevant. For you to stay relevant in any profession, your participation, for example, participation in surveying, aside from being a member of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyor, I'm also a member of Nigerian Bar Association. I'm also a member of International Law Association, we call ILA. I'm also a member of Nigerian Hydrographic Society, NHS. So many, you have to have been trying to participate on both ends, trying to make sure that we make the convergence, happen in the professionalism.
Relevance.
So
Even just staying in one field.
But it has not been easy,
Yeah.
It has not been easy.
That's why we want to know how you're doing it. Okay, so where is the symbiosis between surveyors and lawyers in our society, and how can we leverage in this for professional growth and impact, especially surveyors? That's symbology between we have symbiosis between the two. So how can we stay relevant as surveyors in the
the question is there symbiotic relationship between surveying and legal practice? To a very large extent, I will tell you that land itself is fundamentally guided by physical measurement, which has to do with surveying, and the law guiding it. So in those, if I bifurcate it into that too, then you will agree with me that then there's something related about this too. I remember some years back while I was about writing my SOC1, I think I was in 500 level writing my final year exam in 2017-16, I think. So it works for me because I already have the good sound knowledge of land law, land registration act and the rest of the law, guiding what it has to do with land. Even survey coordination act, the enabling act, and are things that lawyers, are very versatile with. So they come hand in hand, and they seem. But the question now is, have we exploited the symbiotic relationship? Generally, I would say no, because there's still much to do. Because this happened. Because if you look at surveying on its own, we have something called international boundary disputes. Which surveyors can be an expert witness and contribute positively. We also have national and international boundaries, and we have the Land Use Act. These are common field for both surveyors and lawyers. So there's actually this relationship, but the practice of surveyors being able to synergize, work together, and both professionals becoming to be able to leverage on the advantage which it provides for them. I think that answer is no, in the real sense of it, because of so many reasons. Let me just mention a few.
Okay.
One of it is the issue of professional independence and the issue of the clause of who plays the piper dictates the tone in any particular project. When you have a survey project, let's say engineering project, a lawyer may have to come in, the civil engineer may have to come in, a surveyor will have to come in, and so many other allied professionals in the building industry. And if there is this understanding that we are all working together to achieve a positive goal, it makes it easier for them to drop their egos. You understand? But because that comes into play, that we as lawyers, and lawyers are trained to be, it's either that's what they call either you are educated or you are learned.
Exactly.
So lawyers that's such that they will have to display that at all times. It's part of the skills, it's part of the training. You cannot blame them for that. But if we are able to harness this belief system that these two or more professionals in this industry are actually needed, there should be an interdependency, not total independence, and we can work without you, we are okay. So that we'll be able to achieve and leverage on those advantages to get a better solution and development.
So young surveyors are listening. Let us start collaborating. Let's work together. Let's not be independent on your own all the time, even within your profession. Okay, so with the existing level of this synergy between the surveying profession and the legal profession, can we say enough has been invested by both professionals towards more refined society?
Generally speaking, I will say no, just like I said earlier. But specifically speaking, to a very large extent, there has been this relationship, although unconsciously.
Okay.
Although unconsciously, professionals in the law realm or legal practice are now seeing the relevance of having a surveyor when it comes to land matter, of taking a recourse back to the advice of a surveyor when it comes to land matter. For example, you want to look at a situation whereby a client wants to get a property, you want to buy a property. Who do I meet first, my lawyer or my surveyor? So sometimes lawyers will say, "No, come and meet us first," you know. And in another part, you just hear people saying, "No, surveyor, come." The first point of contact should be a surveyor. So these are things that brings in, because prior to this time, it used to be a case of professional becoming the lord upon themselves, and the answer to no one. But now I think this recent development, especially when I come into practice of the law, I've seen that lawyers are now seeing the relevance and need to have a survey or get an advice from a registered surveyor, and in order for them to actually prosecute their case properly in most cases. Yes, because the professional advice you hear from a registered surveyor who will give you the guidance about the practicality, because the symbiotic relationship is actually in the practical aspect of it. So when they see the relationship, when the lawyer see the relationship or the need for them to come together with surveyors, then they do. But it's actually unconsciously. It will have been better if at this time, like I said earlier, the issue of superiority and inferiority complex between legal practitioners and the surveyor practitioners, the imbalanced scale of remuneration in these various professions also comes to play, and the battle of who determines what, who dictates the tone, like, is a syndrome which also occurs common when there are common projects to work with. And lastly is the professional independence. Every person believes, once I am a professional, I have my company, I have my firm, I have my chambers, then I answer to nobody. There are sometimes you will need to liaise with other professionals, have knowledge about what and how they do, and be able to do your own better or deliver your own job better. So it's as it is now, it is still unconscious connection, but there has to be an intentional motive to make sure that surveyors come together with other allied professionals like lawyers and engineers and the rest of them to give a better development.
Conscious relationship, unconscious relationship. So how do you bridge that gap? That's the question for young surveyors. So to a lawyer now, it's who is now a surveyor, who is a surveyor to a lawyer?
To a lawyer, yes, that question I like it, because if I have to answer it from the
survey, beyond survey, we don't want you to give a definition of survey.
So a lawyer is a surveyor from the perspective of a lawyer, of the law itself. There's no better recourse than to look at the extant provisions of the law on who a surveyor is. I will tell you today, so many people call themselves surveyors. Well, when you find out they are not registered, and it is only the law that creates a council in order to register who, or in order to determine who and who becomes a surveyor.
Wow, that's true.
And because it is a law, then the lawyer will always take cognizance of those extant law. For example, if you look at the interpretation section of Section 2 of Surveyor Council's Act, Second Act, which is the Enabling Act, surveyors were defined as any person registered or deemed to be registered as such under the decree or the Enabling Act. The decree is the Enabling Act. Now, if we look at that's the general definition in the Second Act, we also can take recourse to Section 2 of the Office of Surveyor General Law of Niger State, for example. So many states have their own legislation as to who a surveyor is. But in every aspect of it, it's still, as a lawyer, we still have to take recourse back to the extant law. What is the meaning of a surveyor in this Section 2 of the General Law of Niger State? It says surveyor means a registered surveyor or an officer of the Surveyor General authorized by the Surveyor General to carry out carry out surveys. Now, in that, there are two things involved. Is either you are a registered surveyor in that state to be called a surveyor, or you are being authorized by the Surveyor General of that state to carry out survey, but you must be an officer in that department.
Yeah.
You understand? So those are things, those are two aspects we can look at it. In the Survey Act, you see, simply in the strict sense of it, it says you must be registered or deemed registered. So let us, and who is a registered surveyor from the aspect of the law? You know, let me refer back to that section 2, which is the interpretation section of Surveyor General Law of Niger State. A registered surveyor means a surveyor registered under the Second Act and any other ordinance providing for such registration which was in force as at that time, before the commencement of the survey law. That is because of before the commencement of the Act Enabling Act. Now, if you look at those definition of who is a registered surveyor, you can a surveyor can now be distinguished from a registered surveyor in that balance. Because if you define a surveyor to be either a registered surveyor or somebody at the Department of Office of Surveyor General who is authorized by the Surveyor General to carry out survey, it is different.
Yeah.
When you are authorized, you may not be registered, but you can be addressed as a surveyor. But when that is when you are being authorized by the Surveyor General, you can be addressed as surveyor. But it does not make you a registered surveyor. You are only a registered surveyor if your name exists in the register of the Surveyor General, of the Second Act.
So it means that to the lawyers, if you are not registered, you are not a surveyor.
It depends on the, like I said, we have some survey aspect has to do much on the concurrent list. Survey practice, has to do more on the concurrent list, whereby the federal can legislate upon as well as the state legislation. So that is why we have, aside from the Enabling Act, which is the main federal act, and which supersedes by virtue of the covering the field principle to proceed over the state act. Okay, let's look at Lagos. We are looking at Niger State. How about Lagos? Section 31 of Office of the Survey Law. Section 31 of the Survey Law of Lagos State, that is Cap S13, defines surveyor to mean a licensed surveyor or an officer of survey department authorized to carry out surveys. Survey department we have in Lagos State is Office of Surveyor General. So if you are authorized, which is something closer to the definition given by that of the Niger State. So in other words, by who is a surveyor is that person recognized by law. If you are not recognized by law to be a registered surveyor or a surveyor, accordingly, those three, they are close, but they are different. So you are not a surveyor.
No. Oh, that's a very good explanation.
Thank you.
Okay, so with the available legal framework, how can surveyors improve on cadastral survey and non-cadastral practices within its provisions?
There are two things to look at in this aspect of this question.
Okay.
And those things we can look at are just two, I will say. Number one is regulatory compliance. Compliance to regulation. There are laws that establish so many of our practices. How we involve, what time are we to, carry out a particular project, what time are we to put it back in a depository of the Surveyor General, what is ethic committee, what is disciplinary committee, all those things are familiar. They are regulations, extant laws existing to guide our practice. And when we are talking about regulatory compliance, then the number two, in which we have to is upholding the ethical practice of the profession. So we have two, regulatory compliance on the one hand, and it's also, those two are similar. So the second one, which is upholding the ethical practice of the profession in general. And in explaining what ethical practice is, in general, I'll just take recourse to the 13 ethical code. Sorry, excuse me. The 13 Guardian Ethical Code by the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, Lagos State, monitoring twin tax. That was done in sometime in 2019. And first on that list is that the interest as a surveyor, we have to put the interest and the right of the public and community and the client first. For your job delivery, we have to put in, as far as ethical is concerned, your client, the public, and the community comes first, not you and not your colleagues. Number two is that as a surveyor, you must contribute towards improving the reputation of the profession. And by so doing, whatever that is not clear to you, ask a colleague if you are in doubt. Number three, as a surveyor, you are not expected to inflict damage on property or the community. So you must be fair with your employees and encourage their development as well. Number four, ethically, you should not delve into a job or work which you have no experience about. We have to have, as a surveyor, we are supposed to have that competency before we delve into that job. Otherwise, it may result to chaos and problem. As surveyors, ethically, we are expected to update ourselves. We are supposed to be up to date. And that is why we have our MCPD and the rest of them that the MNIS and the APPSN are trying to, in the different various states, even at the national, And participation is key. Like I said, participation is key. I remember while I was introducing myself, I'm so into so many things, but I think we just missed that part, but it's okay. And FCPD is it helps to, develop surveyors. You look at different angle of, there are so many aspects of this surveying we are talking about. The cadastral, the popular cadastral, which is, everybody's thing. You have the engineering survey aspect, we have the hydrographical aspect of it, we have the photogrammetry aspect of it. I've been in classroom. I've been in classroom after it was a serious transition. I was in classroom for 10 years before I left Federal University of Technology at Korea as a lecturer. So before I now come into full practice, So we have to be up to date. Continuous development. Continuous development is very key and it's part of ethics or good ethical practice. As a surveyor, we have to be loyal. Our loyalty and infidelity is to the public, not to ourselves. And number 7, as a surveyor, we cannot and we are not expected to falsify data or information. Number 8, if we are in doubt, we ask or seek for help. If we are in doubt of anything at all, for example, you want to carry out a survey of a property, and you discover that, let's say the RTK GPS you are using at that particular spot, the specification was not in vector 4 and you are expected to produce a vector 4 result. You have to ask questions. Why am I geolocate this position using my RTK and it's not giving me the exact or very proximate exact, there's no perfect measurement. Everything is approximation. And it depends on how we want to achieve accuracy that we introduce continuous, least square and other means of adjustments in order to get accuracy. The surveying in me is still very,
I'm very happy about that.
So we have to accurate. So once we are not sure about something as a professional, let us ask for help. Let us ask questions. That is number 8. Number 9, we owe our clients the protection of that information which we are getting for them. I remember I handled a case, but I won that case on technical ground actually. I was about to, cross-examine a surveyor. So information. The surveyor did a particular job, and submitted that job, accordingly as it should be. But upon investigation, there are disparities as regards what is supposed to do and what they have done, But yet, so many pressure were mounted on the surveyor to release or disclose information, but they refused. He upholds its ethical value because he holds that responsibility to the what? To the client. So that is also very, very important. And next, on number 10, is that when there is conflict of interest, I repeat, because we are still going to this, when there is conflict of interest, it is better to seek for professional advice. Or withdraw your service, or withdraw as it may be. Number 11. It is better to avoid consequences than to mitigate or trying to manage this particular situation. Number 12. Any work that we carry out, we must put safety first. Safety first. Even on site, there are so many occasions whereby surveyor go to site and they are being attacked, even killed at times, especially when it comes to national boundary, determination and the rest of it. So, we have to put safety first. If need be, if you ask a client engage you to come and carry out a survey on a disputed land, in which there's a legal matter or maybe a case ongoing, and people will always protect their own interest at any cost, most times, which it shouldn't be. Because once a case is in court, you're supposed to let the status quo and say remain. But that person happens to go to that side unknowing to him that it was actually a dispute land, and they were seriously attacked with machete and all sorts of times. And lastly, because it's a 13 code, like I said, 13 guidance code on ethical practice. So lastly is the practice. We have to practice as surveyors, we have to practice in a fair and dignifying manner. Your reputation is all you have got. Your reputation is very key. So taking regards to all this 13 guidance code by the Ethic Committee of Task Force of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, I think it suffices to answer that once we have regulatory compliance and we are you're upholding good ethical practice, then I think it's fair. It's safe to say that the surveyor is okay.
Wow. Ethical practices. So surveyors, let us always be practicing in an ethical manner, because it is our reputation that matters the most. Okay, now it brings me to a question I really, really want you to answer. I mean, you are going to answer honestly.
Really? Okay.
Yes. No, but I don't want you to do the law. When they say honesty, you say really. Lawyers, law, law.
Really just to be sure. Just to be sure
when you say law and yes. Okay, so you're a barrister and a surveyor. So can you provide a legal service to your clients and also a service to him on a particular property? And if you can do that, if for instance there's now like that property now has a litigation or something like that, and then can you appear as a lawyer and as a surveyor as an expert witness on that same property?
That question is loaded.
That's why I said you must answer it.
It's like a 3 question in one. But we have to, one thing we are good at as a lawyer is how to, let us stratify all those important issues.
Yes.
Firstly, I am a barrister and I am a surveyor.
Yeah.
Can I actually practice? Is it legal to be? I'll tell you for a fact, on a general note, in Nigeria as of today, there is no law against dual or multiple professionalism.
Oh, nice.
If you want to become a doctor and subsequently you want to become a lawyer and subsequently you want to become an engineer or an registered engineer, so be it. There's nothing illegal about it. Because acting otherwise will be a deprivation of fundamental right guaranteed by the 1999 Constitution. If you look at Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution, that section provides that I will guarantee the entitlement of freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinion and to receive and impart ideas and information. You can only express, impact an idea or information when you have a knowledge about that thing. So asking somebody who has a background of surveying not to be a lawyer or to put the restrictions or per se, it's like you are depriving that of that the fundamental right of that person.
Oh.
Let us look at Section 40 of this same 1999 Constitution as amended. It provides that every person shall be entitled to freedom of assembly and association. If I so wish today to be a member of Nigerian Institution of Survey, of course, which I am anyway, to be a member of NIS, Nigerian Institution of Surveyor, then so be it. But my fundamental right is guaranteed by the law. What if I say, okay, aside from that association, I also like Nigerian Bar Association? Are we together? So be it, because the Constitution guarantees it. But I'm still going to detect the other aspect, which you know. But let us create a general note. On a general note, there's nothing illegal about you becoming or having dual or multiple professionalism. So let us look at Section 42. That has to do with freedom. I mean, freedom from discrimination.
Okay.
If I say I'm a surveyor and also tell you that I'm a barrister, and you're like, how can you be the two? Then it means you are discriminating, directly or indirectly, you know. So, and these are fundamental rights guaranteed by every law. And it is fundamental because it goes to the root of the matter. It is fundamental because the violation of it is actionable in the court of law.
Oh, nice.
You know, and so in truthfulness, truth be told, there's nothing illegal about dual professionalism. And believe me, dual professionalism comes with different advantages. I remember sometimes while I was in the classroom, lecturing at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. You know, I was there for almost 10 years before I resigned from that academy. You know, I realized that the knowledge I had, my background of the knowledge, the background I have in law or legal practice, helped me to, you know, boost some energy into the way I deliver my papers and lectures, you know, to my audience, even especially my journal publications. Okay. As of today, I have nothing less than about 8 journal publications to my names. You know, I'm both authored and co-authored. You know, so it goes a long way. So it brings a wealth of dynamic experiences, having dual or multiple professionalism. It also brings about abilities to synergize with other allied professionals seamlessly without stress. Number 3, there is seamless and harmonious collaboration. You imagine a surveyor discussing with a lawyer, not knowing that lawyer is also a surveyor. There are no technicalities you want to relate with that person that you don't understand. You understand? And it will be as if there will be an harmony and understanding. And there will be a better, you know, environment to actually deliver solution. Yes. You agree with me that dual professionalism also bring about excellent job delivery, just like I said. And lastly, quality assurance will be guaranteed. Nice. Quality assurance will be guaranteed. But to come to the second question that has to do with, can I actually, as a barrister, on the same property, carry out a survey for a client, prepare the deed of assignment as a lawyer as well, and now, upon litigation or action in court, stand as a lawyer and expert witness as a surveyor? Yeah. that is loaded. And truth must be told, you know, there are so many restrictions, especially on in the aspects of the legal profession, especially. But let me tell you for a fact, for every human law, there are exceptions. And I must say, you know the difference. What differentiates an educated person and a led person. Is that? I must keep in this because it's actually because they understand what are the exemptions, what are the gap that the law did not cover. Educated person will read it, will understand it. But a learned fellow, I mean, a legal professional will know that there's a gap here compared to another law. And lawyer cannot just talk without authority. And that is why we are, mentioning sections, rules, and so let me take recourse in order to answer properly this particular question. I'll take recourse to what is called the ethical rules of the legal profession, 2007.
Okay.
In legal practice, we have what is called legal practice, rules of professional conduct for legal practitioners, 2007. It's a law on its own, yes, and it's more or less like a subsidiary legislation. If you look at the rule 5 of that law, it says that a lawyer shall not form partnership with a non-lawyer.
Nice.
So as I am now, I'm a surveyor. Okay. I am a lawyer. But if I want to have my chamber, of course I have my chamber. If I want to have a chamber today, I cannot say Dayo and Co. Are we together? To indicate the Dayo of the barrister and the Dayo of the surveyor. Are we together? No. It doesn't work that way. It's also a purely legal partnership. That does not, that does not exempt the issue of joint ventures with other professionals to solve a particular problem. That is not the type of partnership we are talking about. Secondly, Rule 7, subsection 1, that has to do with the engagement in business of legal professionals. That rule states that, subsection 1 says that, unless permitted by the General Council of the Bar, it refers to as a bar council. A lawyer shall not practice as a legal practitioner at the same time as he practice other professionals. Look at that word. That is a general law.
Yeah.
Going further on subsection 2 of that same law, the law provides that a lawyer shall not practice as a legal professional or practitioner while personally engaged in businesses like buying and selling.
Wow. So we can't hold
number 2, hold on, please. I can actually, on the contrary, I can actually run a business. No. Listen. Let's see. That is the difference between an educated person and a legal person.
Okay.
A man shall not practice as a legal practitioner while personally engaging in businesses like 1. Is it A? That's subsection A. Business of buying and selling of commodities. B. Businesses of commission agents. So a lawyer cannot be, lawyers are not expected to be agents anyhow. Wow. You can actually do agency because the law of agency is actually something that has to do with law. It's the technicality of it is surrounded, and upholded by law. But all these here and there agents that they do for housing. No. You can as a lawyer be doing that. Rather, you can actually focus on, as a lawyer, you can focus on your commission for drafting legal agreement, tenancy agreement, lease agreement. That one is so it doesn't mean you are agent. Now, subsection C of that same law say such other trade or business which the bar council may from time to time declare to be incompetent or incompatible with practice as a lawyer, or intending, and very importantly, or intending to undermine the high standard of the profession. It's that is an aspect that covers a whole lot of ground. But it means something that in the entanglement of this legislation, it's such that whatever you must do as a lawyer must be such that it's not tending to undermine your standard as a lawyer. That is the key thing there. Please take note. Yeah. That same law, under Rule 7, subsection 3 of it, states that for the purpose of this rule, trade or other businesses that were defined in section 1 and subsection 1 and 2 includes all form of participation in trade or businesses, but does not include exceptions now.
Okay.
But does not include number one, that is A, membership on board of director of a company. So I can be as a lawyer, I can be a director in a company.
Okay.
But the only exception, or another exception to that exception, is that which does not involve either executive, administrative, or clerical functions.
Oh my God.
So a lawyer can actually be practicing law at the same time be a director in a company.
Yeah.
Not only that, subsection B of that exemption states that being a secretary of a company is also an exception to trading and whatever you are calling it. So a lawyer can be a secretary of a company.
Oh.
It's not illegal. Are we together? If I register a company for you from I'm an accredited CAC registration officer.
Okay.
As of today.
Nice.
And if I register, most of the company I register happens to be there, because most of them don't have company secretary. So I have to put myself in place for them so that I'll be able to, handle some of their. So many companies that exist that I've registered, many of them, as it is today, it means I am their secretary as of on the record.
And it's not
illegal
against the law. So.
Are we together? So there are so many things we can actually do that people ordinarily will think that how can you be a lawyer and be a barrister? For every general rules, the beauty of it in law is that your human law, let me say, is that there are exceptions. It does not stop there. There is another exception created to the general rule of exception.
Okay.
And that is the subsection C that states that being a lawyer can actually be a shareholder in a company. And if I'm the majority shareholder, that means I'm the owner of the company. That means a lawyer can own a
company.
Are we together?
Yeah.
So there's nothing illegal about it. So if today you had that Surveyor Barrister Odunaiya is actually the owner, or let me say principal partner in Odunaiya AK & Co., otherwise known as Oak Legal Chambers. He's also the majority shareholder in Oak Geospatial Limited, which is a survey company. Is there anything illegal about it?
No. It's just that you shouldn't have been in the same name, right?
No.
Okay.
The answer is just no.
No. At the beginning you said something about having Dayo and Dayo Co, which Dayo should not be the lawyer and also be.
There are two different things.
So now there are now two different companies.
A chamber,
legal
chamber, and a company. Majority shareholder is not illegal.
Yeah, it's not.
Are we together?
Very
so depending on the participation.
So
I will come to that. So if you look at the exemption that lies, or there's always exemption that lies in every human law, like I said.
Sure.
And the fact that a practicing lawyer is a majority shareholder in a survey firm or survey company does not make it illegal. Okay. That is the law.
Good.
Now, in plethora of cases, you must have heard about some laws that create exception to even legal practice in different fields. We have insurance where officers in the insurance cannot go to court, but there are some laws that can make them go to court. Today, a lecturer in the university, law lecturers, can actually, they are in paid employment, right? But they can actually still practice to some extent. That is the law. Because, for example, I would say, if you remember, okay, you may not remember, but I will refer you to the Legal Practitioner Regulation and Other Professional Private Practice Prohibition Law. Law Lecturers Exemption. Number 2, Order S.I. 12 of the 1992. That law specifically creates exemption for practice of law by law lecturers. So there are some laws that are established, extant laws that are established to actually exempt, because once you are a practicing lawyer, for you to deliver a lecture, you have the practical knowledge. It is that practical knowledge you are bringing to the classroom to build the next generation of lawyers, which is very needed and necessary. And that is lacking if you look at our survey aspect of it. So many restrictions, survey laws, survey lecturers cannot practice. Let's not delve into that, but it's a question. So the question of can you provide a legal service to your client and also survey service on a particular property, I will answer that one in the affirmative, because it is a matter of qualification. Am I qualified to do so? Okay. And secondly, it is a matter of Is that intended to undermine the high standard of my professions? No. On the second aspect, I can refer you to some when it comes to qualification of what a surveyor is. We've read some part of it.
Yeah.
You can also take recourse to section 1, subsection 1 of the guideline of the conduct of survey practice in Nigeria 2020.
Okay.
So the council, yes. And it commenced on the 16th July of that 2020. In that provision, it was made clear that qualified surveyor, registered surveyor can practice anywhere in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We can also look at section 9, subsection 1, and section 19 of this enabling act, Surveyor Council of Nigerian Second Act, Cap S18, the Law of Federation of Nigeria 2004. This law specifically provides who is a surveyor, who is a registered surveyor, and where they can practice. So it has to do with qualification and how you look at it. If the practice or that work is such that it may undermine the high standard of your professionalism. If the same property that we are talking about is involved in litigation, another thing will come up. If that same property which you have done the deed of assignment as a barrister and you did the survey as a surveyor, now comes into litigation.
Yeah.
So can somebody like that, can that surveyor appear as a lawyer and as a surveyor, being an expert witness in that particularly property matter?
Yeah.
I will answer that in negative.
Okay.
For two reasons. Number one is conflict of interest. Because upon cross-examination, while you are being an expert witness as a surveyor, the other party, who is your adversary in that case, will look at how to make sure it chip in conflict of interest or water down whatever opinion you are given before the court. The opinion you are given to the court. Because your opinion is what the court is relying on as an expert witness. Because it's a technical area. Surveying is a technical area. So whatever you are giving as an expert witness is actually the opinion which the court needs in order to arrive at a particular judgment for that case. So I will answer in the negative. I will answer no. It is not advisable because, one, because of conflict of interest issue, and at the same time, it is likely to undermine the high standard of the professionalism of your profession. Okay. So that is the answer to that. If it's was I able to do it?
But I have a question on that. Now that is on the case that you are the one that prepared for the deed and the survey. If you are not the one that prepared, but can you serve as on the both sides? If you did not prepare, you are not the lawyer that prepared the deed, and you are not the surveyor that did the survey. But now the case is in court. Can you appear as both a surveyor, as an expert witness, and also as a lawyer?
That's a good question. I must say I really commend you for that. It's a thoughtful one because the court on its own, they call it the court sumo. The court may sumo to summon a person to come and give an opinion. Okay. If I am a lawyer in a particular case, and the court is aware, when I say the court, the judge is
yeah, sure.
When I say the court, if the court is aware that I have a professional background, that technical background in surveying, the court may say, you are so person, can you share your opinion? Upon that, you cannot refuse. Oh. We don't refuse the court. So in that circumstances, you can actually become a lawyer and at the same time give an expert witness in the area of, because what the court is interested in is your opinion. But if the adversary, your counsel, the other party, or the legal counsel to the other party can actually shake you, such that if you're not careful, there will be conflict of interest. But if you can avoid it, then why not? Then it stands.
Okay. It's been enlightening. And I've been enjoying, learning about the law and survey from the aspect of the law.
They are very related, very related.
Oh, okay. So in your opinion,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting because there are some laws I'm learning. as a surveyor that I don't even know as a surveyor. Okay, so in your opinion, how can the dynamics of our society be, factored into reviewing existing laws to enable equitable practice of the surveying profession?
Equitable practice. I hold on to that word. Equitable practice has to do with equity of practice. And in law, there is a legal maxim that says or states that equality before the law is equity.
Oh, nice. Equality before the law.
So we are looking at equality in practice for both young surveyors and old surveyors. And this rests more on our senior professional colleagues, mainly as regards compliance to the existing ethical practice, regulatory compliances. It's very important. If opportunity must be given to the young surveyors, I won't say pupil surveyor this time, let's say newly registered surveyors who are already on the platform, for them to start moving up the ladder, they need this foundation, which must tell them that in practice of this profession, there's equality. For example, you have a young surveyor who is willing to get a job for 500,000. Let's say the mandatory fee is like 500,000. Okay. But you have this immediate senior colleague who is now well to do, as a matter of fact, and can actually discount maybe by 100,000 out of the 500, making it 400. Who do you think the client will patronize? Will it be fair?
That's not fair.
Are they equal? So equality in law is equity. So if we can create an atmosphere of this, so to say, we are not equal as a matter of fact, but if we can create that atmosphere of putting everybody equally, then of course, to a very large extent, the young surveyors will be able to leverage and move up the ladder in a very short time.
Wow.
And that reminds me, that this I just mentioned now reminds me of a case of Surveyor Adedayo Kazeem and 6 others versus the Surveyor General of Lagos State and 10 others. In suit number, you remember that case? It was a very long case. Where in a state, the Surveyor General can say, okay, this is only these people, this set of people can actually practice within particular zones. Is that the law? Is there equality? Is there equality? I rest my case.
Okay. Yeah, nice. So where ethics and professionalism had the fulcrum, how can young surveyors position to, harness their own career and leave their own legacy also?
If ethical practice and professionalism are the watchword, young surveyors will surely be able to move up the ladder with ease. However, in securing a good and ethical or healthy environment for that, there must be what we call mentorship, good mentorship, which is very key. As well, that young surveyor must be vision driven. Young surveyors must be vision driven, that I want to improve myself such that I become an authority in this particular discipline of the surveying field. We have surveyors that are, IT gurus who develop software that other software. So that is a special area. It's programming and a lot of, survey plus programming, a lot of certification. I could remember Surveyor Damilola. He's a good friend of mine, and so many other aspects which we can tap into. Hydrography. I got to 400 level during my time in the University of Lagos studying law. While I was, doing a course, there was a course called Maritime Law. Maritime Law. And the Professor Fogam was asking me, because I answered the question actually. He asked the question and I answered the question. He asked me, how do you know about this social thing? I said, I am a surveyor. And I said, are you a surveyor? So what are you doing in my class instead of you making dollars at the port and the rest of it? You know, there are so many untapped aspects of this profession. So many untapped, people are not looking in that direction at all, aside from this our cartograph. So we must look outward as much as we want to look inward. There are so many aspects of survey profession that we can tap into. So young surveyors must be vision driven. And there must be perseverance and unwavering determination to uphold ethical practice. You cannot, because you want to make a lot of money as a young surveyor and you got an expanse of land from it. For example, you get an expanse of land to be done for a client. Let's say you have about 500 hectares of land. Upon you did the job, but for you to bring it and to deposit it in the office of the surveyor general as a record copy and the rest of it, you also change the whole site into a smaller site. These are things that are being done wrongly. So young surveyors must not, by virtue of the financial benefits, jeopardize the ethics or ethical practice or ethical value. And remember, nemo dat cord non abet. If you're looking for good mentorship, then you must be a good follower.
Yeah.
That's right. So these are very important. And early sensitization and advocacy of professional, of developing a good professional inclination, that is also very important. And so these are what will make it easy, if we uphold ethics and professionalism as a watchword for young surveyors to position themselves and pave way for their path with ease in the nearest future.
Oh, very, very nice. So, young surveyors, leave your legacy. You must uphold ethical professionalism and be ready to be mentored. Well, it's been a long day, and I've enjoyed listening to you. In every bit of it, I've learned a lot, and I hope that our listeners will also learn a lot from what you have shared. And we're hoping that when we call you for more opinion or expertism, if there's a word like that, you'll be there to honor us and share insights. You might not be as a lawyer, probably more of a surveyor, or you can also be as a lawyer, but we're happy to have you in our midst, to have you as a surveyor practicing and doing well, and also in the legal practice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's actually a pleasure. By the grace of God, time is a factor, it's like a denominator. But however, out of no time, there will be time.
Yeah.
By the grace of God. That is part of my participation.
Thank you so much.
I see it in that way. Thank you.
Oh, okay, young surveyors, we are come to the end of this interview. Thank you for listening to us. And I would also like to thank my team at the background that made this possible. We have with us the Deputy State Chair of YS in Lagos itself, and in person of Surveyor Joseph Aigbe. We have also Ajigbe, sorry. And we also have our PRO, the mouthpiece of the Young Surveyors Network of Lagos State. And that's in person of Miss Ebonlua. I would not want to spoil her surname, but I'm very sure that okay, if I can get it right, I think it's Olafisoye. Yes, Ebonlo Olafisoye. Thank you for being with us here. Also, the media team. I have a representative from the media team here in person of Mr. Dibuki. It's funny I can't pronounce and I don't like spoiling people's names. Okay, also I have with me my team members from the editorial committee. I have my deputy chair here with me in person of Miss Latif Moreni KG, and we have one of our pioneer members, one of our very great how do I call it, mentor, and a member of the committee, which is Surveyor Adefemi Alabi. Thank you for being with us all the time, and every time we call you, you always come through for us. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I hope that while in Lagos, when you listen to this, you'd also write down and pick some things, and maybe also try or even do better and become probably maybe have 3 professions. We have someone with 2 professionalism. We can have people with 3 and 4. So
It's
I
not
hope
illegal.
that, yeah, it's not. I heard today that it's not illegal to be in as many professions as you
It's
like,
not.
as long as you are upholding the ethical practice of that profession.
Exactly.
So I'm happy to be here, and I'm hoping that you also enjoyed having us with you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you
you,
so
man.
much.
Please, my utmost respect to my mentor, and right from day one, so
Yes.
he has been a wonderful mentor, and it's still, when you have a good mentor, you just must mature to becoming a good mentor.
I think we are all on the same page, because some time back in this, I think in 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had an interview with him.
Okay.
On just for this YSN Lagos
That's
also,
wonderful.
and
That's
now we are
wonderful.
having one of his mentees as also an interview. So it seems we are all on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you so much
It's
for
been
having
an
me.
honor being
Thank you
here.
so much.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
coming.
Yeah.